Glenn Youngkin is joining me today. He just clinched the Republican nominee for the upcoming governor's race here in Virginia. Glenn, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me. It is an exciting day in Virginia. The sun's out, and I think Virginians are ready for a different kind of governor to take us in a different direction than where Terry McAuliffe and Ralph Northam have had us going. And that's why I'm so excited this morning to be working right out of the box to go campaign and meet Virginians and talk about this new direction.
Well, speaking of a new direction, and someone who also wants a new direction for Virginia is former President Trump, who just endorsed you Tuesday morning. Now, something that he called Terry McAuliffe, which you just mentioned, who you just mentioned, he labeled him as Clinton's bagman in more ways than one. Do you agree with the president's framing that, you're sort of a continuation of what President Trump stood for in terms of this anti-establishment battle?
Well, I think what the president actually highlights is, as Terry's track record is accurate. And unfortunately, Terry is from a political dynasty. And he absolutely just represents what I think is wrong with politics and why Virginians are so ready for a change. And as I was campaigning across Virginia over the course of the last 4 months, and God, we covered 24,000 miles, met with thousands of Virginians. And what I heard over and over again is, Glenn, we cannot afford another term of the McAuliffe-Northam administration. And what the McAuliffe-Northam administration actually represented and will represent is so different than what Virginians want. What Terry wants to do is, in fact, give up our right to work status and actually make it harder to do business in Virginia and harder to get a job. Terry, in fact, wants to make it harder for our kids to keep up by actually limiting their ability to run fast academically and by teaching them what to think. And I actually believe that our school system is supposed to open up the fast lanes for our children and allow them to learn how to think. And oh, by the way, something really, really edgy, let's teach accelerated math to our kids before 11th grade. And what Terry wants to do with his left liberal friends is, in fact, make it impossible to be in law enforcement. He wants to defund them. He wants to take away qualified immunity. And oh, by the way, that will make it impossible for us to field the world's best law enforcement capabilities. And I want to do the exact opposite. And so what, in fact, we've heard from the McAuliffe administration and what we're hearing from them during the campaign is that what they're selling is so far out of bounds for Virginians, whether it's Republicans or independents or Democrats. People just don't want it. And that's why we have so much momentum going into our day one of this campaign. And while I'm so excited to be on the road talking to Virginians and getting Virginia ready for a whole different kind of governor, listen, the reality is people are tired of political insiders. And the last thing Virginia needs is another one. And what they're telling me over and over again is, Glenn, your business career, your can-do attitude, your ability to deliver results and hold people accountable is exactly what we want. And I'm so encouraged by that. And so here we go, Virginia. It's ready for a new day.
Well, I just want to point out that obviously, over the last couple of years, Republicans haven't been too happy with, the Virginia government, being that, since 2009, they haven't controlled the three top, statewide positions. And then, 2016, Hillary Clinton won the state, and then President Biden actually won the state by even a larger majority, or margin, I should say, in 2020. So why are you the person to flip the state back to red?
Yeah, I think Virginians are seeing what Democrat leadership in Richmond resulted in. And that, in fact, is a big lurch left. And that, in fact, is a set of policies and initiatives that don't represent Virginia's values. As I said, 25% of Virginia's businesses in the last year either closed permanently or were temporarily closed unnecessarily. We actually see stacks and stacks of regulations. We see taxes been piled on individuals and businesses to the point where more Virginians have moved away recently to the other states, particularly Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Texas, that have moved to Virginia from the other 49 states. So Virginians are voting with their feet. And so they're getting ready to vote at the ballot, because what Terry McAuliffe and Ralph Northam and the left liberal leadership and philosophy has meant is that Virginians broadly, not just Republicans, but broadly, have said no, thank you. And so we absolutely represent something very different. We represent a path forward for small government, an environment that actually pushes business success, not inhibits it. We actually want more jobs, not fewer jobs. And we want to make sure that Virginians can have great education, that in fact can have freedom. I mean, Virginia was ranked 50th in freedom in March. And this is all coming to roost for Terry McAuliffe and Ralph Northam, that this kind of leadership and this kind of philosophy is just not what Virginians want. And I've been so encouraged. As I said, I've been humbled. I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to lead. I am so ready, in fact, to serve in Virginia's future that this is what Virginians want. And here we go. Day one, campaign starting. We're going to go get this done.
Well, you brought up jobs, in just now, and something I also wanted to ask you about is on Friday we had the April's jobs report come out. 266,000 jobs were reported. Now, we were expecting, a million or so jobs. Obviously, well below that expectation, the estimates that we were expecting. Some Republican states, their governors, have actually, opted out of receiving that federal unemployment benefits for people who are unemployed, really trying to encourage people to get back to work. If you were governor right now, would you do the same? And do you think that could actually, encourage people, or are you just sort of leaving people behind?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges we have coming out of Washington, and let me just back up and put a bigger picture around it for a minute, if I can, which is we in fact have unnecessary stimulus being pounded through our economy, both from a monetary standpoint, coupled with the fact that we have a lot of fiscal stimulus right now. I mean, we had a stimulus bill that in fact was cloaked in being a COVID stimulus bill with virtually no COVID health in it, and a lot of handouts and spending to states that were poorly run, to bankrupt entities like the pension plans in states that are poorly run, and payouts to teacher unions. And the bottom line is that what that's causing is a flash in the pan economic recovery, not a durable one. And of course, a durable one is based on free enterprise. It's based on businesses growing and hiring people and expanding the workforce. And so this combination of what the Biden administration has done in Washington, and oh, by the way, I know what Terry McAuliffe absolutely believes in is big central government and big government programs, and coupled with big government spending, and as a result, big government taxes. And this is what we're getting out of Washington, and this is what he's got in mind for Virginia. And I'm telling you, this does not result in a durable economic recovery with strong job growth for all Virginians. And so all of a sudden, we see inflation creeping in. And they're going to have to recognize the fact that this flash in the pan economy is bad for America, and it's going to be bad for Virginia. And that's why I'm running. This is why I quit my job last summer, was the fact that I was so frustrated with what I saw the Northam administration doing in Richmond and leading us down a rat hole. And the fact that the Republican Party had not won in Virginia for a long time. And I represent a different kind of candidate. I am absolutely not a political insider. I represent a business mindset that knows how to get things done, building business and creating jobs and delivering outcomes. And Virginians are standing up all across the Commonwealth and saying, Glenn, that's what we want. We're tired of these same old politicians. The last thing we need is one that's already been in office and didn't do a good job and is bringing back all of these left thoughts on what to do in Virginia going forward. So that's why I feel so encouraged. That's why we're so excited to actually get running today and get Virginia back where she belongs as the best state in America to live and work and raise a family.
What is your top issue that if you're governor, you will focus on and make sure that you get done?
Well, one of the things that I believe strongly in is when you actually make someone a promise, you keep it. And that is a characteristic that actually defines character. And that's why I'm running. And that's why I think so many of these lifelong politicians are so comfortable with empty promises and no results. And so as we've talked to Virginians across the Commonwealth, what we have said over and over again, and I'm sorry, it's like asking me which one of my children I love the most. but there's a handful of issues that are most important. It's getting Virginia open day one, businesses open, schools open, houses of worship open, and carving back the mountain of regulations that have been placed on Virginia's businesses. It's absolutely getting our schools moving, not just open, but making sure that curriculum is in the right place, not teaching our kids what to learn, but teaching our kids how to learn. And oh, by the way, let's go with something crazy. And let's just say we're going to teach accelerated math too and award advanced diplomas along the way. But on top of that, school choice is critical. We're going to have to stand up for law enforcement, because without investing in law enforcement and maintaining protections under qualified immunity, which protect them from frivolous civil lawsuits, not from dereliction of duty. And if there's bad actors, we're going to go get that. But this is about building the best law enforcement capability in the country. And then finally, it's standing up for our constitutional rights, which we know we have to, and they've been encroached upon. I mean, religious liberty has been encroached upon. And this is something we have to go to work on, all of our constitutional rights. And I have to say, I've mentioned this over and over and over again, election integrity is important. It's not a Republican issue and it's not a Democrat issue. This is a democracy issue. And if we don't invest in our election process like Florida did after the hanging Chad incident, and oh, by the way, Florida has become one of, if not the most trusted election process in the country. No one had any questions after the 2020 election. And I want to make sure Virginia is at that exact same standard so that people don't question it. So I'm sorry for the fact that I don't have a child of mine that I love the most. I love them all. And these are all incredibly important topics. We're going to go work on all of them day one.